Side Sports Talk Radio on this Monday. It is June 25th already, 2018. I'm Ian Rollins along with Mr. Al Baston, Mr. Don Bassett, and Mr. Nick Jones here on his predictions regarding World Cup. Much is happening this weekend in sports. Much is happening going forward. Good afternoon to all the gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
Wonderful, man.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good.
All's good?
Yes, sir. And it's nice and cool in here today as well.
That's how it starts.
You and Earl like that when it's cool, right? You like it when it's cool. I'm like, yo,
It'll change soon.
It will change up
Yeah.
and down?
How it changed last week.
Oh, true.
Started
true.
off warm.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Our guest today, we will have the president of the BCB, Mr. Lloyd Smith.
Yeah.
Right. Mr. Richard Torres will be joining us as well, or a representative.
Yeah.
Right.
The coaches B license.
B license. Mr. Cal Blankendale will be joining us as well, and a representative from the Bermuda Bicycle Association, Mr. Richard Peter Dunn, the president. They'll be joining us in studio today, and Kim McKellen of former Commodore of the Bermuda Public Association, so we'll be stopping by giving us an update on what's happening, some things overseas. So she'll be joining us with that. But of course, the big thing, the big talk happening right now is obviously the 21st edition of the World Cup football in Russia. I'll start with you, Nick, first. You pleased with what you've seen thus far?
Yeah, statement is always that the cream rises to the top, and as you see right now, it was a great start for Russia with that 5-0 victory and what have you, and then they're struggling a little bit today, and they had somebody sent off as well for a second yellow card.
Right.
So at the half it was 2-0. I guess Egypt were 1-0 up at halftime. It's 1-1. So the cream comes to the top. The argument was between Egypt and Russia, who was going to finish second in that group from the start. I think a lot of us, because we see the Premier League all the time, so on and so forth, Mo Salah is in front of you all the time, that emotions and Liverpool and all the rest of it hoped that Egypt would sneak into that B side. I'm more concerned, I'm more interested in this afternoon, because I think it's got to be all guns blazing this afternoon. That's the reason. This is the exact reason why these games, in the last game in the group, kicks off at the same time, because you would rather face Russia, if you're a purist in the sport, than face Uruguay. Uruguay didn't start very well. Today they are playing a lot better.
Pretty much.
Cavani still hasn't really fired on all cylinders. Neither has Suarez, but they are coming into their own. So the scenario this afternoon for Portugal and Spain basically is who scores more wins the group.
Right.
So I expect to see fireworks this afternoon. And if, as an outsider looking in, Morocco have improved throughout this tournament. They did lose, yes, in their first game with the own goal, which cost them dearly the point. But they played very well, I thought, against Portugal. And they, the other outside fact that you look at the moment is Spain's just across that little inlet.
Yeah.
They won't want to give Spain anything this afternoon. So it's almost like a local derby between the two countries. Although it's the Iberian fight is between Portugal and Spain, Morocco, there'll be no love lost and no pity or no sympathy played from Morocco on Spain this afternoon. That's for sure. So they'll have to be on top of the game. So there should be. Fireworks left, right, and centre. You sit there and say should be's. I picked Poland to as my outside bet, and they're going home. So that shows you how much I know about football. But anyway, so that takes care of this afternoon. But of course, there will be masses of people here locally on the roadways at about 2:30, making their way to their favourite watering hole or to their favourite television to watch Portugal. And it'd be naive of anybody here to say that there's got to be a little bit of bias towards Portugal getting through. And for them, I hope that they have a good game this afternoon, simply in order for them to win that group, because I do believe Uruguay are getting better as the tournament is concerned, and I wouldn't want to face them in the last 16. I'd much rather find Russia in front of me.
Well, they're up 2-0, like you said. And Suarez did score. He scored a free kick in the first half. They're up 2-0, and it's I think 66 minutes down in the second half. And with the Egypt game and Saudi Arabia, that's tied at 1-1. It was tied 1-1 at the half.
Yeah.
Egypt had 2 penalties, converted one of the 2. And Mohamed Salah, the man, yes, he did score. He missed a breakaway in the first half. He tried to chip it over the goal's head, but chipped it wide. So that score is still 1-1. Getting back to your match regarding Portugal and Iran. Yes, that game will be carried live on ZFP TV 7 this afternoon at 2:45, and on Inspire 105 at 2:45. So the listeners who don't have access to the internet or via television, you can tune in to Inspire 105 and get the Portugal versus Iran match this afternoon. Matter of fact, the Uruguay versus Russia match is on Ocean 89 as we speak right now. So that's the happenings right now regarding the World Cup football and the stages that's happening. It's getting really, really interesting going forward.
Yeah,
so
it will, because I mean, let's face facts. Germany came back and did the business, so they've and the way the other result went helped them. Argentina are off the hook, courtesy of Nigeria. And now they face Nigeria, so they could be off the hook. You know, we always say the cream comes to the top of the milk bottle, and you never know. But one thing's for sure is that these teams, some of these bigger teams, will not win their group, which means they're going to be facing a winner from another group a little bit earlier. And then, of course, after the round of 16 is where the flip-flop comes, where teams go from one side to the other. It's a huge discussion last night on ESPN FC with all the pundits about should England win against Belgium, or should they let it slide in order to
beat everyone to win it.
Exactly.
So no matter when you play them.
Yeah. So the earlier you get rid of them, probably the better it is, because then you won't see them later on.
You would rather play a top team, gain that momentum, than play a weaker team and then struggle later on down the road because you've taken advantage of somebody.
It gives you confidence in your squad as well. So, but you know how it is. I was lucky enough to have a quick peek yesterday at that 6-1 by England. It was 6-1, but it wasn't 6-1. It was. I still didn't think they looked that good, to be honest with you. They were okay-ish. There was nothing spectacular. There was no big sweeping moves. Even if sweeping moves or have you don't result in goals, I like to see the creativity. I like to see the mind opening up, you know, to see what's going to happen and what they're going to do further on down the road if they get there. And I didn't see
who's won the World Cup looking pretty?
Not many.
Sometimes
not many.
you gotta
Brazil.
Yeah, well, their style.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, you go back to, I mean, we talked about it in the first show a couple of weeks ago. You go back to the Italy when they were last champions. They actually drew all 3 group games.
Yeah, that's right.
1-1-1-1-1-1. And got away on the goals for, goals against. And then all of a sudden the clock started to tick and things went the right way. And the next thing you know, they were crowned world champions. So you never know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how everything's slowly developing. Like I said, I think Argentina definitely got off the hook the other day. Germany looked better. There's no question about that. But these guys still face. I mean, there'll be a lot of people there saying that Nigeria, with their 2-0 win, could upset Argentina as well. You know, you never know. But they are looking a little bit better. So we'll see what happens. Plenty of excitement to come as far as the World Cup's concerned. Of course, we got 2 today, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 4 on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, 4 on Thursday to complete the groups, because they all have to kick off simultaneously in each group. And then as we go forward into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, it's 2
round of 16.
Yeah, round of 16, 2 games per day,
yeah.
And then we get our first break so everybody can.
Actually, it's a break on Friday. It's a break on Friday. There's no football on Friday. Then the round of 16 starts on Saturday.
Saturday,
so
there you go. That's right.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's lots to play for, as they say. If anything sticks out to me at this present moment in time about the World Cup is the economy of South America must be booming. Because those stadiums, when a South American team walks onto those fields, including Mexico, I'm although they're in CONCACAF. They're Spanish speaking, so I still edge them down that way a little bit more. The amount of support by the Carnival participants and their fans has been tremendous, and well done to Russia or whoever put these things together to get that many fans over there. You expect to see the English, you expect to see some other fans in other ways, but South America has outdone themselves in this, and they have added a lot of color and flair to the tournament thus far.
Well, the tickets, well, regarding Mexico, since you mentioned it, it was said in sports on TV and on the internet. Mexico bought the majority of the tickets for the World Cup through the U.S., and that's why they got through Russia. So it's kind of interesting.
They probably got their allotment as well once the United States didn't squeak through. There was another big topic yesterday again, was the miss of the United States being there.
Who, the miss?
The miss of the United States not qualifying was a huge miss, obviously, for them. But probably a good wake-up call to them as well, to say you're not as good as you think you are with this present crop of people, because to think that they finished fourth, inside. In fact, there were two places behind Panama who just took a good spanking, well, a medium spanking. The goals were a good spanking, but it wasn't quite as bad as you say. But
the problem with US, their football went downhill when they fired the German.
Jurgen Klinsmann.
Went downhill because he was rebuilding football, and he was doing just like every other international manager that can recruit players, Americans that lived in Germany. He was recruiting them to play for the U.S. Some U.S. didn't like that, and then they said, let's find a way out. They fire him.
Well, he had a couple of bad results too. That made it easy for them to get the scenario done. But so it was interesting. We had this gentleman here that were with Blankadale the other day.
I forget the name.
Tom and I can't think of the other gentleman's. Anyway, the gentleman that used to coach Toronto FC, and it's funny because we talked about the small nations, Bermuda being small the way she is and what have you, that we were gonna. They're looking at doing the same sort of thing as it's been done in Iceland, because there's only 320,000 people in Iceland. That you can get from here to there, and you have to use that to your advantage and what have you. So let's see what Iceland do in their final group game. They need to get a victory in order to get out of that group, but it gives you potential for the future and gives hope for smaller countries as well in the future.
Right.
So that's for sure.
Sure. Well, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be back with hopefully our first guest in the studio. Join us after this. That's Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
Lloyd Smith. No, you sit there, man. Just go down next. You don't go out. You don't go out.
Always El Presidente, man.
As we get older, our subjective sense of being thirsty loses its edge, and often the need for water is sidelined. The availability of bottled water has gone a long way to improving our hydration awareness, and here's a product that takes the process to a new level. Alkaline 88, an enhanced water with an 8.8 pH level.
I tell you, boy, I don't know who comes up with this shit, but that one, the new one they got on with the guys and watching with all their snacks, the fucking Georgie turns it on. Like, Christ,
Zach comes up with that.
I love it, bro.
That was hilarious, wasn't it?
First, boss, can we have some time off for the World Cup and what have you? He's like, World Cup?
Yeah,
World Cup.
And then he's got Italy.
It's very clever.
Very much so, man. Very much so.
Okay, now, you remember how I told you about BCB and your airing and what have you? I went to Robin Hood yesterday to watch the last game because my son was at a birthday party just to kill time through Fox. They were showing it through Fox. Yeah.
Chris, what's happening? Correct? All's well? Good. Take a seat there, El Presidente.
Yes. And they were sharing it through Fox.
Accelerate.
Yeah.
Well, it's
not
not
the
the
manager office. We need to get this shit off. There's nothing wrong with our what you do is killing your
yeah. But yeah, you want people coming there and patronize you and do whatever.
Football fans, if you were unable to see the live action of the 2018 FIFA World Cup from Russia, Bermuda Broadcasting Company would like to take this opportunity to inform our valued viewers. We will rebroadcast all 64 matches of the 2018 FIFA World Cup from Russia on ZFB TV7 nightly. The rebroadcast will start at 8 p.m. and end in the early hours of the next morning. This will coincide with the FIFA daily schedule. Now, back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baston.
And welcome back. It's Inside Sports Talk Radio time. Joining us today is the president of the Bermuda Cricket Board, Mr. Lloyd Smith. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, fellas. How you doing?
I'm good. All is well with you?
Everything is lovely.
Your season's up and running now.
Yes, definitely.
Pleased with everything thus far?
Yes, actually. You know, we did start the open cricket the beginning of the season, so that went pretty good. You know, new league. You know, low obstacles at the beginning, but it ended up to doing what we intended, getting guys to play longer cricket.
Right.
So yeah, everything's going all right.
Cool. Doesn't hamper because football's on right now, World Cup. It's not a challenge, right?
No.
It's all good.
No challenge.
It's all good. I know Mr. Basin brought you in as his guest today, so I'm gonna let him lead, and I will follow after that.
All right. Well, 6 months into the presidency, how's things going?
Well, I guess things are going okay. You know, other
Yes. Okay or not?
you know, like I said, it's been about 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can't say just get my feet wet.
Right. You're drenched on.
I'm drenched on. You know what I mean? It's been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's people don't understand how busy we're being in the last 7 months. You know what done some things differently. That was one of my aims, is to change, and we brought some new people on board as well. Changed up some committees. So it's starting to gel.
Right.
Yeah.
No, well, you're in the season, the flow of the season, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on administratively. Obviously, you talked about changing up committees and so forth. You're off to your first ICC meeting. I believe it's this week, Thursday, Friday.
Yes, it's actually fly out tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
It starts on Thursday, runs until Monday.
Okay. What are you hoping to hear from the top brass of ICC that can help not only Bermuda cricket but the region, because our region right now is suffering?
Well, it's always nice to hear that we're getting more funding in the Americas region. That'll always be a nice thing to hear.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if that's going to come, but, one of the main talks at the on the agenda is the United States.
Right.
So hopefully that we can work through whatever's going on in the United States, get them back on and start, helping the Americas region. So
get them back on. So a lot bigger challenges than both on and off the field than anybody else.
Anybody else. But at least, hopefully, that they have decided on how they're going to organize that region,
Mm-hmm.
and at least get them competing, where we are looking to actually get back to what we used to do.
Right.
Triangular tournament for Bermuda, Canada, United States.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we don't know where the United States is, so you don't know what type of ties you should be building, who you should be building the ties with. So hopefully we can be going those things out in after this meeting.
What have you heard from the Americas regional person that oversees our region? What have you heard from? It's a female, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Farrah.
Right. What have you heard from her as regarding potential for upcoming tournaments for Bermuda? Not just Triangle, but tournaments in general.
Well, that's the biggest challenge right now, due to the amount of funding that America's region has and how much we get from ICC. It's just kind of restricted on what she can do. Basically, other than the ICC tournaments that are actually been put in place by ICC. Her creating other tournaments has been a challenge because her budget is real tight. So,
Right.
That's one of the things that we're hoping that when we get to the associates meeting, not the actual full board meeting, but the associates meeting, that we can work some things out. So,
Right. Okay, so what are some of the things locally you and your new committee have worked on to change in local cricket?
well, like we boarding on some new initiatives this year. We got the cricket HQ going, which is the electronic, the internet scoring,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's starting to come together. As of the last couple of weeks, we also had the electronic scoreboard that's in that we've been using down in St. George's
Right.
so far, only because St. George's has internet that's required.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can get that out to Connie Games and Cup Match. So there's new things that's going on. We have actually right now in the midst of doing a ICC governance review, which hopefully that's going to lead right into our strategic planning for the upcoming September. Hopefully, we get our strategic plan all together by the time the end of the season gets together for going forward over the next couple of years. So, we've been busy doing things.
Public, obviously, letting the public know or letting the clubs know what you guys are doing. How often are you meeting regularly with clubs? Because that was always a big talk before you under your leadership.
So when you said that last week, Wednesday, we had a semi-annual meeting, which we haven't had for a long time before. We've been meeting pretty much every quarter with the clubs, and which we're going to do from now on is meet with the clubs quarterly. We're putting out newsletters out on a monthly basis, letting the clubs know exactly what we're doing, what's going on in executive meetings. So we're kind of keep in touch with the clubs. We've also got our club reps that go around and see the clubs and hear what their point of view is. So we're trying to keep the clubs in the loop.
What are some of the feedback you've been getting from the clubs? Because you're still new to it, so.
Well, it's a lot of feedback. You know what I mean. It's been a lot of miscommunication in the past. I wouldn't say bad communication, but miscommunication in the past. One of the biggest thing was no communication at all. Now they're kind of like another meeting. You know what I mean. So, but we just go up. So. The feedback from the Open Cricket was pretty good. You know what I mean. People were happy to see it. Some people still had the reservations, but at the end, some of them came through and said that it was good for cricket to get guys out there playing longer forms of cricket. One of the feedbacks this season is that we got too much cricket. All the years in the past, clubs have been saying that we need more cricket. Now they're saying like, hey, we're busy every weekend. Some games are set just to Sundays. Getting them busy. I said, well, this is what you guys asked for, so we're trying to give you, and what, hopefully, it'll become a norm. Right now, the meetings are, we're not used to change, so.
Yeah, but that's a positive, bro.
Yeah, well,
the president's coming in. He's given the mandate saying we'll give you more games. That improves cricket. That improves progress for Bermuda. And now there are clubs or individuals saying there's too much cricket. That doesn't make any sense. You got something to say?
I just want to ask the president. In the past, we're tied to the Americas region, but what about our relationship with the West Indian sport, Lloyd? Is there anything going to ever happen? I mean, this is just from a spectator on the outside looking in. When I see the region tournament that was played in the 50s 6 months ago, and I see the county of Kent playing and the combined universities playing, and yet all of the public here in Bermuda follows the West Indies. Many of us over the years have gone down there and supported them by being in the crowd, and so on and so forth. They've never really have ever, since the 60s, come back to help Bermuda cricket in any shape or form. Is there any chance of us getting involved in something like that again?
Well, that's been one of Farrah's talks with David Cameron, the president of the West Indian Cricket Board. And there had many talks, and one of the talks is going to be when we get into Ireland, reference what the actual Americas region is going to actually start doing differently. He seems to be very on board in getting other nations involved, in the Americas region with West Indies. It's a couple ideas that's on the plate that I would probably talk more about after I get back from the meeting. But when it comes to reference to that 50-over tournament that USA played in, it was an option for Bermuda, but the option was a financial option that we chose not to take on. When cricket becomes more of a participation by funding more than participation by quality of cricket, then you gotta look at where you spend your money. So it was our choice not to go down to that 50-over tournament. It would have been nice.
But you did have an invitation then.
Yeah, well, invitation was thrown out to the Americas region.
Right.
You know what I mean? That,
which they've always done.
Which they've always done. Yeah. And just the USA is in a better financial state than Bermuda and the other regional teams. Okay. They took it on.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice to see. I think it'd be nice. It's a natural grooming ground for us. I mean, I know that everything we do and what have you is expensive, but flying to Dubai and flying to the Far East is a lot more expensive than flying down to the West. Flying down to the West Indies.
I think a lot of that happened in the past, where the break-off came when West Indies, the infighting between players and their board. So they took all their concentration off of tournament and put them on trying to sort out that, where the Caribbean 50 over match, which is just sanctioned by them, someone else has done that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a different entity. And the
Different
same thing, right? And the same thing is happening in Canada come this week.
Same thing happened with the CPL down there as well.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean, they just sanctioned it.
They
You know
just
what I mean?
sanctioned
It's
it, yeah.
run by a whole different organization
Yeah.
out of Miami.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that was one of the things that we tried to get on board as well. But like I said, when we looked at just hosting 2 games, we was trying to host the first 2 games of the year. They was looking for over $2 million just to host those 2 games. So,
But it's great. It's great to know as a member of the public
Right.
who's listening into us at the moment,
Right.
that at least those things are being discussed,
Yeah.
and that those things are out there, because
Right.
so many times people like the President Lloyd are working behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. You have to be cagey about what you can deliver to the public and what you can't
Right,
deliver,
right.
because the people like us, as we sit here in the press, our job is to open every can we can.
Right.
So I understand that, but it would be nice to you know, there's a lot of people out there that are involved in cricket that know not what's going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So it is nice to hear that at least the options are there, or financial holding back, so on and so forth. So at least people get some idea that we're trying to step forward in some regions, and
Yeah.
we're being held back in others.
It would be a perfect idea if you're sending newsletters out to the clubs, to send them out to the press as well.
yes, and actually I thought about that as well. Sometimes the stuff that we put in those newsletters and stuff that are good directly just for
Clubs,
for clubs,
Mhm.
for clubs, not really press consumption.
Mhm.
But it's not hard to do a one that is actually
Modified,
available for
yeah.
press as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Because I'm sure I can only think of like 2 times where we put stuff in that that had stuff that we probably wouldn't have wanted to be in the press. But
Right.
the majority of the time, the information is stuff that the press can handle.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just reflecting on what Lloyd has said early and the questions you asked him regarding his 7-month tenure thus far. He's done a lot. I'm listening, and I'm just reflecting on in the past. I'm not picking on any presidents. He's communicating. He's giving the information to the clubs. He's presented more league games, which obviously helps your domestic game
Mhm.
and improves cricket, because we went downhill after the World Cup 2007. And yet you hear from right now that people saying it's too much cricket. Sports across the board in the world is played year-round now, from
Mhm.
football to just throwing out sports like netball, track and field, softball, you name it. They play all year-round. It's not a season sport anymore. So what Lloyd has done is saying, guys, in order for us to improve our game, we have to take it to the next level. We play more games. Yeah, the season may be longer. It may be longer, but you improve. You improve.
Right.
You basically improve the whole game. Credit to the guy and his administrator. I'm sorry, I'll give you credit for that, because how are we gonna get better at this, Lloyd?
That's like I said, that's one of our hopes is to get better. But also, I understand the clubs. They've been doing this for for the last 6 years. I would say
Mhm.
just been playing. Guys have just been playing one game a
One game
weekend.
a week, yeah.
But then the problem comes is
Then
we ain't improving.
right,
Our results are bad. Maybe we go to the international scene. We bring Nick Jones in to train us. He gets us physically in shape. But then mentally, we come up to play the game. We'll skid it off from just 38 months. Use an example.
yes,
Well,
yeah.
We ain't playing enough cricket. Give me a break. Credit to you, mate.
Yeah, but you understand
I
from
understand, yeah.
the club's perspective that when it comes around to the administrative side as
Mm.
well, is having tea already for 2 days.
Mm.
That's a financial burden.
True.
That's coming up. Also being heard back from the club. But like I said, hopefully this year they would understand what to look for in the future, so they'll be more prepared to what to expect when it comes to the amount of games we're playing. So I'm just hoping that it's just a little slight administrative, a little like people so used to having the weekends
Sure.
weekends to the sides.
Before we wrap up, just wanted to know the tournament, not tournament, the meetings that you're going to overseas to see, to attend, I should say. Are you going to come back and share that information to the public on what's happening for Bermuda, and what can you inform us on what's the future on?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I've we looked at scheduling a meeting for the clubs after I got back to give them pretty much a review of exactly what happened at the ICC meeting, which previously doesn't happen.
Oh, well.
So trying to get the clubs,
More
like
insight.
Earl talked about Connor today. I said, well, let me talk to the clubs, tell them what we've done so far at the semi-annual. Then I'll have no problem coming on and telling the public. So, like I said, after we be able to tell the clubs, I have no problem telling the public like what's going on and what we're hoping to do in the future.
Cool.
Let me ask you one. Take your president hat off for 1 second. Tough Dogs winning that Central County is good for the game.
Yes, because that actual Connie, which is my Connie, which is Central County. You know, I play for Derbyshire Rack, so that was, you know, I'm glad to see more games being played. You know what I mean? You know, if you look at the actual team of Tough Dogs, I don't go that even cricket league team. You know, the quality of players that actually are playing in that team. You know, especially with the 2 guest players. You know, I think it's good. I think it's good for cricket.
Okay.
It would help to develop at least Western Stars and Derbyshire Rack getting better.
Fair enough. Cool. Any final comments, sir? Before we wrap up?
Yeah. You know, I you know, like I said, we have the cricket HQ going. The stats, I don't know if the stats has been out there, but you know, right now, the Premier Division is very hot right now. With Southampton and St Davis up the top, real close with the other 3 teams really battling to find out who's not going to play that playoff game. You know what I mean? And then you got the First Division that's, you know, Willacott and Flats and Somerset Bridge and Cleveland. They're all tight up the top. So, you know, the divisions are real tight right now. So it's not no runaway division. So, you know, people come out and watch cricket.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
We
no
should have you
problem.
back, and we welcome you back anytime on Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah, I'm always available to come.
All right. Cool. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have Mr. Peter Dunn and Mr. Calvin Blanking. Just real quick, it's Uruguay now 3, Russia 0, 90+ minutes.
And he's finally scored. Cavani's finally
Finally
scored.
scored.
The duck's been broken, so
Okay.
stand by.
All right.
This afternoon's game, you don't want to be the loser of that group.
No, and it's still Egypt and Saudi Arabia at 1-1. We'll take a commercial break and be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Thank you.
Nice, thanks again.
Yes.
All right, mate.
Thanks, Earl.
Yes,
all right. Okay.
All the best.
Yes.
Fit for Life with Dave Wolf. We'll return after the break.
Cardiac Health is a smart
Good
health
girl.
insurance
Watch out.
company.
They've been made for him, man. He's made this one of these. He's one of the best.
10 claims are now
Freaking
received
want one of
electronically,
these?
6
Big
out
boy?
of 10 claims are settled automatically.
leaving you more
Bro,
time
you want
to
one of these?
focus
Party?
on your choice
Sure.
of care
Mini
and
cookie or whatever the hell it is.
Premier
Thanks.
Health.
Oh, man.
Smart health insurance feels good.
Call Colonial on 296-3200.
Or visit seekingredgroup.com. What time is it?
Hey.
It's game time.
Good.
More opportunities to
Earl.
win. All your sports
Hey,
betting
his
needs
face
without the
dropped
road
when he
trip.
saw me.
Introducing Game Time Peak and Game Time West. Located next to Wahoos and St. George's and mainline Somerset by Somerset Cricket Club. All Game Time outlets open Monday to Friday 12 to 6, Saturdays 8:30 till 5, and Sundays 10 till 5. For more details, visit GameTime.com or call 296-3222. Game Time. We play, we pay. Game Time is a socially responsible gaming establishment.
Welcome back. Whatever. Yeah, it was funny as fuck.
You enjoyed the debate?
Yeah.
Come here, man.
Sorry.
Special one on World Cup?
What's happening, man? Whoever's
What you talking about,
I was
World
arrested. We enjoying it.
No.
Oh, yes. They're not
I
World Cup.
saw them the next day.
What?
You know, Macy has a view about football in Bermuda.
Oh, okay, you want to talk about football, period.
Yeah, and you can tie it into that. And I have a view, or people have a view, so we thought it'd be good to have a debate about the state of football in Bermuda and the direction.
Open air bet today.
Maybe people can call in,
You want to have that?
Yeah.
Let's talk after this.
see what it is. It's all on Facebook now. We're getting back and forth, but I don't go banter.
Oh, yeah, it's good,
I like
better.
Macy, we're getting debate. I'm calling you out.
Oh, you know,
I know.
yeah.
In the early hours of the next morning. This
Yeah, what you talking about, me? I thought you
And
said
cycling.
and
Hand cycling.
Now, back to Inside
Just
Sports
straight to
Talk
Peter.
Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rose and co-host Earl Baisden.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. We have 2 gentlemen that have just joined us in studio who's no stranger to the Bermuda sports arena, Mr. Peter Dunn and what's his name? Calvin Blankendale. Yeah, I know, I'm just kidding. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Ian.
Haven't seen Peter in a while. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing fine. Getting
Still
older, having a great time.
And enjoying life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're always enjoying your life. You got some new information you want to share to us regarding cycling.
Yep.
Explain to us what it's all about.
Well, we're 2 days from launching our first ever hand cycling program.
He said hand?
hand cycling. So
Okay.
we've developed about a year, just over a year ago. Started having a conversation with a couple of people in our own cycling community. Gabby Arnold, who is a young collegiate athlete, and she's doing her program educational programs is to become a teacher, and she's looking at adaptive sports and things of that nature.
Okay.
I've known Jessica Lewis for a long time and looked at her success in sport, and then of course thinking in the cycling context, all the adaptive cycling programs, which there or disciplines, of which there are numerous ones. It became something that we thought, like, well, how should Bermuda be looking at this in the context of, developing opportunities for sporting opportunities for individuals who were differently abled.
Fair enough.
And it, sadly, we have no lack of people who are, for one reason or another, and young athletic people as well, people who have an athletic background who are unable to, use their legs, usually from some sort of accident or otherwise. So Gabby and I were talking about it for some time, and then we approached Cal. Cal was with Windreach, was running their adaptive sports program, and we tried to kick around some of the ideas as what we might do as a community project, but also primarily as a sporting project.
Right.
Because the Bicycle Association its charge is to be the governing body for the sport of cycling.
Fair enough.
In Bermuda. So we kicked it around in my usual way. I was like lazy about certain things. It took me a while, and Cal was always riding me about it. And because he's wonderfully motivating, and I've learned an awful lot in the months that we've been working together on this. But then we decided, okay, we need to figure out how much these things cost, how much the equipment costs, and how we're going to roll out a program for this. And thankfully, I wrote one letter to our good friends at Tokyo Millennium Re, who are also supporters of Jessica Lewis's athletic career, and clearly have been sponsors of our top triathletes for a couple of years. And lo and behold, they came back and they underwrote the full cost of buying 3 hand cycles. It's a big relatively big number, $10,000 they put up for this. And then with the change and then with the support of the Department of Youth and Sport, the government has changed their import duty policy for national sports and for some sporting equipment. We were able to we got that cost waived, which would have been thousands of dollars as well. So a very generous donation turned into what we think is a great starting point. So we have 3 hand cycles. They showed up in Bermuda about a month ago. They've been living unassembled in my shed. They're now got them out yesterday. Finally got it all done yesterday, and we're got them stored up at the National Stadium.
Right.
So and I don't want to, Cal's as enthusiastic about this myself, and he's been, as I said, I've learned a ton and from just the process we've gone through. But Wednesday morning we're going to start a program. We've reached out to individuals who through Cal's contacts, and then through some other folks. We're working with Keith Simmons and Ann Lindroth, who's with the Bermuda Paralympics Association, trying to reach out to as many people as possible to find out who in the community is, would have an interest in this. So we're going to kind of throw this as an open teaser out there to the community. Cal, if you want to.
Yes, I mean, it's a great.
I know you want to talk about football. But
no. I am going to start with football because, as Ian Rowland is, there used to be a football acronym under FIFA that football is for all.
Oh, yeah.
So, having had the opportunity to work with persons living with a disability and providing a sports or active opportunities for them, just change football. Sports is for all.
Correct.
For each and every one of us.
Point.
From seniors to youth, to those living with a disability, to those who want to represent Bermuda, to those who be on the international stage in the Key Wales. So having met Peter Dunn at a sports expo and being introduced by Jessica, at the end of the day we were able to come together, and Peter actually came up with the concept that this should take place. And after some time I was like, I don't know much about the sport, but Peter somehow saw an avenue for me to get involved with a general background in football and sports management. And it's been a pleasure to be part of this program, seeing that there's going to be an opportunity and avenue for another sector of Bermuda to get out and about. This activity or this therapeutical concept, and also recreation, but also it could be high intensity sports related, is for those who may be at home and may not have that social activity or benefit, for those who want to get out and do a little bit more with their body than they traditionally do because they're in a wheelchair. and even for those who are able-bodied, that are walking but are not as active or able due to a cycle accident or bicycle accident.
Right.
There's some young men and women who are just not as able to get out there. Just an opportunity for them. And hats off to the National Sports Center for also working with Peter. They've made some accommodation available for storage. It's really a partnership with the entire community. Tokyo Millennium, with the different governing bodies, the Paralympic Association as well. Keith Simmons is very well in tune with what's going on in the cycling community. Peter Dunn with the Bermuda Bicycle Association, and I've just brought some of the management and expertise, if you want to call it that, from Bermuda Sports Management Group. And it's just a project for each and every one of us to make it happen. And back and forth, we've been like, it's got to happen today, it's got to happen tomorrow. I don't know anything about cycling. I've never put a bike together, except a Yamaha. That's the strength of this group, that everyone just stays in their comfort zone and be able to network and converse about what's going to take place. And at the end of the day, this is something that's here for Bermuda.
Sure.
And for a group of individuals that we feel could definitely benefit by being part of something active socially. And hopefully they can participate at a level where they can represent Bermuda as well. That's what
Well, hold your thoughts, Sean. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to do news, and we'll come back after news. We'll talk more about this exciting sport because it unfolds on Wednesday of this week, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna open it.
Okay, so we're going to take a commercial break, and then we have news, and then we'll be back after news, guys.
With online verification, eligibility, and
He might do it live.
6 out of 10.
You normally record it, but I think Mike likes to do it live for some reason. He doesn't record it.
So at 12 o'clock you went live?
Yeah. So I'm looking out on the board just in case he puts it up.
You know, like he would get that coming and reading. You know what?
How long was it? How long?
It was like 7 minutes.
That long?
Yeah.
You know what?
Let him sit right here.
Yeah, I'll let him sit.
You're gonna have to do with the recording.
Huh? Yeah, he doesn't know how to do record, yeah.
He doesn't want it.
Remember, we're still live. See, it's coming
Yeah.
live. It's coming.
It's
Everybody
coming.
get it live. I'm looking out just in case he posts
Yes,
it, and I'll
it's
let you
coming.
know.
It's coming.
It's coming. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to say
Hey, John, these bodies are still lying.
Huh?
Shh. You're live, man.
Yeah. You're still alive.
I don't want these people in there. Get them out.
Sit down, boy.
I'm good.
You go
Travis,
first.
you got the other guys. You got Dave Wolf, right?
Yeah, but I'm staying on after Tuesday.
You go first, Mike.
It's
I'll be right back. It's
stopless first.
Something else? Okay. That's it?
If
That's
you guys
the
want
one?
to take a break, you
That's
want
it?
to
Huh?
That's it? Something
No,
else?
the regular stays in order. Just move stopless to the top.
Okay. I just need to know.
Huh?
Give me this.
Okay, then it goes to
I get rid of
offensive words
Yes.
and Rabin,
Yes.
and then Camp 1 and 2.
Okay.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No sponsor?
No sponsor.
Cat one, cat two.
Nice, but that thing makes my hair look great. Where's that camera to
Right
anyway?
there.
Oh. What's it? Nice, that thing could pick me up and it's facing that way. It's facing over there and it still could pick me up over there. It's, yeah, it's right there, look.
Station at 90.9 FM, a Bermuda Broadcasting Company station.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News. There is no stop list for drug offenders traveling to the United States from Bermuda, according to the U.S. Consul General. Newly appointed Consul General, Mrs. Constance Dearman, reminding residents of the current policy in place regarding those with criminal records wishing to travel to the U.S. mainland. She says any conviction in any jurisdiction may affect a person's ability to travel. However, in Bermuda's case, one can apply for a waiver.
About the stop list or the perception of a stop list. There is not a stop list. And I think that's the important message to get to people, that there is not a stop list.
You know,
like
where else
many
in the
other
world
countries,
can people
individuals
sit in
with
there and
conditions,
while a newscast is
that impacts their ability
wait, this is
to travel.
between me and you. We need the
However,
computer. It's not for them.
individuals here in Bermuda
Get them out.
who
Well,
may
no, I
have
told
a
him.
past
I
conviction
said,
can
hey,
apply
what it
for a
done?
waiver.
Hey,
And
know
they
what it done?
encourage
I
people
think
to
Mike
take
will do
advantage
it.
of
Yes!
that
I would have done for
process.
it. You gotta
Many
go ahead of
people
time
have
that,
been
you know,
able
these, in
to
other words, these guys would have to excuse
overcome,
themselves.
their
I would have done
status
for it.
and travel to
Man,
the
you
United
don't
So they
States.
should have to
It
him.
can be a process, however, it may
Cool.
take a month or so.
Yeah, I do
maybe
live.
3 months
Some
of
of my-
a little advanced planning, apply for the waiver, and people may be very successful.
A 62-year-old Bermudian man wanted in the United States had his bail request denied at a Supreme Court hearing. Paul Martin is subject to an extradition request from the U.S. after he admitted to vehicular assault in New York dating back to 2005. He was arrested and appeared in magistrate's court earlier this week due to a warrant. Prosecutors rejected Martin's lawyer's request for bail, arguing that he is a flight risk, given that he fled the U.S. before being sentenced for his traffic offense. It is understood his lawyer may opt for a hearing about the extradition request. The matter will be mentioned in court this Wednesday. A 45-year-old Warwick woman has been charged with stealing over $100,000 from an employer. Appearing in magistrate's court, Deidre Wogar was charged with falsifying a deposit of $108,085 into an HSBC account between March 8, 2017 and March 10th this year. She also was charged with stealing thousands in cash on several occasions from Circuit Supply Incorporated in Paget between March last year and April of this year. The defendant was not required to enter a plea, as the matter must be heard in the Supreme Court. Magistrate Kamisi Takumbo bailed her to appear at the next arraignment session on August 1st. She was granted bail in the amount of $80,000 with a like surety. A ship worker was fined $1,500 for using the N-word towards police officers. 33-year-old Granda Dobroslaw pleaded guilty to using offensive words towards police officers in a public place on Church Street in the early hours of this morning. Jasmine Patterson has the details.
Heard at around 2:20 a.m. today, officers arrived at the Grand Bar on Church Street, where staff complained about an annoying man. He was identified as Dombrowslaw, and officers spoke with him briefly after he walked away from the establishment. They noticed he was unsteady on his feet and smelled of intoxicants, but he remained coherent in conversation. During the interaction with police officers, the defendant mumbled his words, and when asked to repeat himself, he gestured angrily and shouted, "You N-word." He was told the language was offensive, insulting, and was subsequently arrested. The mechanical fitter who resides in New Jersey apologized to the court and explained too much party. Magistrate Takumbo fined the man $1,500, telling the man, quote, "We don't take that lightly." He was ordered to pay up before his vessel departs the island tomorrow or face 10 days behind bars. Jasmine Patterson reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Education Minister Diallo Rabane said in a ministerial statement in the House on Friday that the Community Education Development Program is in transition to better serve the needs of Bermudians. The minister added that the move came about after a feasibility study.
Transitioning the Community Education Development Program to be within the...
That's why they record me without my permission.
The curve section.
Yeah,
so
but it's not
what we did is we did a
I just checked it. It's not this camera.
There's
something
serving. Some of the statistics that popped
it's
out
coming from
was that the program has been in decline ever since 2012. From going from over 25 participants in 2012 to just over 700 last year. The majority of the programs, or 90% of them, were forced leisure type programs. What we need to understand is that this program was originally put forth as a way of allowing people or people that had the need to upgrade their particular skill sets within the community versus going into a formal classroom, etc. And with 90% of the courses now geared towards sports and leisure, it was obvious that it was not serving the demographic that it was.
They're coming back anyway.
That it was set up to support from the beginning. So what we're doing is we're moving the staff into work with development where they will assist us with coming up with programs that will cater to that demographic, the need of upgrading their skills so they can get better jobs and better types of employment.
The Ministry of Health stepping up efforts to ensure the safety of children attending camps put on during summer and other school breaks during the year. Kim Wilson, the Minister of Health, making the announcement during Friday's sitting of the House of Assembly.
Department of Health encourages a voluntary registration of camps. In addition, Environmental Health will investigate any complaints received about any camp, whether it's registered or unregistered. While camps for school-aged children are unregulated at this moment, guidelines were created and are useful to ensure best practice. Of course, I speak of summer camps at this time, as it is the time of the year that we are entering, but registration with environmental health and the guidelines apply to camps throughout the year. Our children spend a large part of their day in a camp setting. Environmental Health, therefore, is encouraging camps to register with them and for parents to be diligent when selecting a camp.
Ms. Wilson urging parents to assist with this registration initiative to help safeguard their children's well-being.
Parents should ask if the camp is registered. A registered camp is more likely to be following the guidelines and therefore is more likely to be a safer space for children. Some areas of concern for camps are the child-to-staff ratios, especially around water, the camp having a building, staff training, for example, CPR and first aid, policies on visitors and communicating concerns, and the program focus of the camp. Operators of a camp should be 21 years or older and have at least 2 years experience of working with children. All of these guidelines can be found on our website at www.gov.bm/childcareinformationparents. Mr. Acting Speaker, I also encourage all parents to ask these questions of the camps and to insist that the camps register with Environmental Health.
A 44-year-old man is in the intensive care unit after crashing his rental scooter in St. George's on Sunday night. Police say it appears he struck a low wall on Wellington Slip Road before veering off the road and hitting a metal post. The man, believed to be from St. George's, suffered a serious leg injury and was taken to hospital for treatment. The rental scooter involved has been impounded as inquiries continue. Witnesses are asked to contact the police on 295-0011. And still on the police blotter, a 66-year-old man remains in critical condition in the hospital's intensive care unit after crashing on his pedal bike late Saturday night. Police say he was exiting Vesey Street when he collided with a motorcyclist traveling well. The rider of the motorcycle sustained leg injuries and is in stable condition in the hospital. Once again, police are appealing for anyone who saw the collision to contact them on 295-0011. And turning to sports, Uruguay booked their spot in the final 16 of the World Cup with a commanding 3-0 win over Russia in their Group A match today. Suarez and Lexalt netted in the 10th and 23rd minutes to give them an awful or great start. In another match, it was Egypt and Saudi Arabia drawing 1-1. This afternoon at 3 o'clock in Group B, second place Portugal face third place Iran, and leader Spain take on Morocco. The Portugal match will be televised live on ZFB TV7. And I understand from our program manager, Ian Rollins, all 4 matches will be shown beginning at 8 o'clock tonight on TV7. Well, I'm Mike Sharp.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, cool.
This weather update is provided by the Bermuda Weather Service, sponsored by the F&M.
And thank you, Mike. Otherwise, right now, mostly sunny skies, southwesterly winds, moderate high today, 85 degrees. Tonight, increasing clouds, possibility of a couple of showers for tonight. Expected low 78 degrees in Bermuda. Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies, occasional showers, chance of thunder for Tuesday, guaranteed rain there. Expected high 81 degrees to low 73 degrees. Checking for the hump day, Wednesday, cloudy to start with increasing sunshine by mid-afternoon, a high 81 degrees, a low 75. And for Thursday, sunny clouds again, 83 for the high, a low 73 degrees. And Friday, nice weather, showers, a couple of showers, not too bad, nothing to worry about. Expected high 83 degrees, a low 26 degrees here in Bermuda.
This weather update was provided by the Bermuda Weather Service.
That's why
Sponsored by BF.
We're done.
And thank you to the folks at BF&M and the Bermuda Weather Service.
Now, back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio with Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. We just had a quick news break and back into Inside Sports. As we were talking to Peter Dunn and Mr. Kelvin Blankendale, your sport, hand cycling, gets underway this coming Wednesday. You showed me a picture just as we were outside. I understand it better. Yes, that is a good sport. I understand. There's an opportunity for Bermudians who can take on this sport. How can they get in contact with you? Is there contact numbers, websites, emails? How's it go? How's it work?
Yep, Cal's telling me that. Thanks, Cal. No, I you know, easy to get contact with. Well, myself. My, you know, so anybody can. Most people in Bermuda can find me one way or another. But you know, call me on the phone. They can. You know, our email is info@bermudabicycle.org. Same for Cal. It's easy enough to find them. You know, I mean, if people want, just ask, you know, how to get in touch with Bicycle Association, then it'll come to me. It'll come to me. They come to me, you know, and we're open to almost anybody. Anybody. We're starting, you know, our starting point for this was the sport of hand cycling, and I, you know, from the conversations I've had with Cal and others, there are people in the community who probably would probably be looking for some sort of alternative recreational activity that suits their ability, and this equipment could be in that.
Right.
That's not our initial focus, because, you know, again, I'm running a sport, you know, national sports governing body that is looking at the sport of hand cycling, but you know, we'll work with other community groups who maybe approach us and say, hey, we've got, you know, customers of our clients of our own who are interested in accessing this equipment, and then we can always work out some sort of arrangement. We think it's a great, really a great gift to the community that Tokyo's, you know, financed for us. It's a great commitment. And again, I said to you during the break, I mean, our ultimate goal would be great to have, you know, next year's Bermuda Day race.
Yeah.
Not only that, you know, we have the cycle race that starts, the Sinclair Packwood race, and then we have the half marathon. We should have a hand cycling event in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just start, you know, a minute after the pedal cycles. That would be an amazing scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to, people that I've spoken to, I talk about, you know, how emotional you can feel if you're a competitor to go through some of those super crowded areas. I mean, I remember the first time I went through Heron Bay, you know, as part of the Sinclair Packwood race. You know, like, I'm an emotional guy, but I was like, you know, on the verge of tears, and I'm like, you know, panting away trying to stay with the group. But it's an amazing thing that I guess, and Cal knows I'm kind of projecting my own perceptions on, or assumptions on the community, people who are confined to wheelchairs. But you know, sport is an amazing outlet for individuals of all different abilities. You know, I only started cycling when I was 40, and it's changed my life dramatically. Not only in terms of what I'm spending my time doing during the day, but you know, I'm physically healthier. I've met some amazing people. I've been all around the world, and I've met great people here in Bermuda. You know, that broadened my own experience. And I think that it should exist for everybody. Should have the opportunity to reach out to them. And when we think of people who are confined to a chair because of whatever instance occurred in their life, but then we want to, you know, say those amazing parts of sports, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, or whether it's cycling.
Yeah.
That experience as a sportsman, as a participant, as a teammate in a competitive situation, you know, I don't see why we should be restricting anyone's access to that experience.
Fair enough. Nick?
Just on that note, I've seen a gentleman doing hand cycling in his own. He has a beard. That's all. He's dark hair guy with a beard. So you have the three that have come in, and like I say, visually, I've seen one other gentleman doing it. Is he of physically challenged, or is it he's already he has that for his own use as far as that's what he wanted to do to begin with. I mean, do you know of any other ones? That's the one person I've ever seen.
I don't know of others. I know there's one individual. I think that's a personal choice. As I'm finding, trying to educate myself and the actual process and what people do. If you're confined to a chair, there's so many other considerations one has, and that's one of the nice things about including Keith Simmons in our conversations in the process, that he is the king of understanding, adaptive, or accessibility issues. So things like we couldn't figure out why did these hand cycles have a parking brake on them. Because who needs a parking brake? But actually, this is in that world, and this is sort of the windreach, guidance that we can get. Is, when you're transferring from a traditional street chair, to one of these, you can't have it moving. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's an eye opener. It's not something I was personally aware of, and so we're, learning these things that they, how to develop this type of product, this project and this activity, to a segment of the community that say from the cycling perspective, we're not engaging with on a regular basis.
Right. Hand cycling, obviously, is going to make a name for itself in Bermuda when you guys launch it on Wednesday. You made a good point earlier that it will be good to see the sport evolve in Bermuda Day for next year, and it'll be good because that's when everyone comes out to cheer our runners and cyclists on, and that will be an eye opener for those who don't see it year round. Outside of that, can you see the sport growing in Bermuda and then possibility representing, because this is a sport where it's on the international scene with people representing the various countries and the various different sports. Sporting events, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to start with a bunch of individuals, who are going to have their own individual experience and their own individual expectations, maybe, or set their own goals. But above that sits whatever you want to achieve in sport. There are world championships for hand cycling. I mean, it's a part of the and Bermuda doesn't, has an active para sport community, but more sports, I think, need to start looking at what's the para version of what they do, and so that if you want to, there are, the para Pan Am Games, there are continental cycling championships that include para sports. They just happened last month or a month and a half ago in Argentina. The Commonwealth Games has para components to it. The Olympics has a para component, and then within our sports we have. So there's every year there's a world championships for cycling, and that includes hand cycling and as well as pedal cycling. So it really as far as somebody wants to take their follow the path of competitive sport, it's open to anybody who then is clearly you require certain physical characteristics. This is an upper body sport.
For sure.
This is if you're big from the hips down, it's non-functional. Yeah. But some of these guys in the picture I showed you, they're like built like bodybuilders from the waist up, because it is a super big shoulder and back and chest sport. And people can adapt into that, but clearly we don't have people who are training for this discipline.
Right.
But I mean, look at Jessica Lewis. I mean, she's got shoulders on her that most men feel jealous of. She is super strong, but that's what her sport requires.
Yeah.
And this is a similar, slightly different muscle structure, but similar approach. So and I think this is good. I could be wrong, but I think there are a lot more guys who are sitting at home. They're difficult to get employed if you don't have access. If you're relatively young, 35 or less, you don't have, maybe your parents or whoever you're living with have to go off and go to work themselves. So what do you do all day? And we'll leave that question hanging there. But I think the answer is not enough. Not a lot of things that are super satisfying. I mean, there's still people who want to have a satisfying experience in life, and I think this is sort of. Cal's very quiet.
I was going to ask Cal.
But I mean, he's seen these guys who work at Windreach and deep in the community.
What does this mean for Windreach, Cal?
Well, I was formerly enriched, not been enriched now,
Okay.
but we know that any individual that's living with a disability getting access into the mainstream community and feeling part of society on a daily basis, it's a win for them, for their families, but a win for Bermuda.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we all know how challenging it is for each and one of us when we're injured and we're doing an able-bodied sport and we're unable to move around during a training session. Nick knows about that, and you're on the side like thinking, man, I want to get out there, but we still have full access to other parts of our body to do what we want to do independently. So again, it's on the recreational side. With the bicycle station, we want to get it on a competitive side, international stage, but also on a social aspect. If more individuals that are living with a disability that may be at home and may not have a daily connection with an individual, and we've just been reading and hearing about depression. You're home by yourself all day, TV's on, the walls, people come, your parents come at home after work and they leave right in the morning, it's just you.
Yeah.
We want to get you out. That's what this program is also about. So it's not only the competitive side, it's about why are we involved in sport? We enjoy seeing each other, we enjoy talking with each other, we enjoy debating about things, and then seeing how this takes place on the international stage by watching events or tournaments like we're doing now. None of us are playing in the World Cup, but we're looking at it. So again, cycling, Tour de France, or hand cycling and an adaptive sports manner, that's all part of that environment.
Cool.
And specifically for those who are looking for something to do, there is no cost to be part of it. We do know, we have to say that on the air, we do know that it's a challenge for individuals living with a disability at times to have transportation or access to transport to a specific venue, as our buses currently do not provide that means of transport with the accessibility realm. And we're hoping that the larger community at some point could play a role, but we're going to start small. You may even see myself in a chair on Wednesday, because it doesn't make sense telling someone else about it if you don't know how it actually feels to go around the Northfield track. I'm only going to do it once. I'm a small upper body guy, but I'm going to get involved. And I want to say that Peter has really opened my eyes away from when I was at Winridge, just about on the competitive side, because I always felt that there are sports that could be done more competitively for persons living with a disability. But as I'm here in the chair now, I'm thinking like, hey, former BFA guy, can the BFA now really, we don't have to wait for another body, set up, Blind Football Association. There are football components, there's cricket as well, there's blind cricket. If every sports governing body thinks like, you know what, how can we just even offer the opportunity, forget the competitive nature, can we offer the opportunity once a month, even once a year, and from there, it will grow and will give access to people that are in to enjoy life in a more recreational and a healthy environment. And again, it's going to be better for them. For us, the insurance costs will go down because people are moving around, and it's a win-win for Bermuda. So if you want to get involved, it doesn't have to actually be by sitting in the chair. If you have extra funds, you have time that you want to be a volunteer, get in touch with Peter Dunn, get in touch with Carol Blankendow. You can find me through Ian Rollins. And we'll make sure that you become part of this program, but hopefully other programs will come, because Bermuda has to do more for persons living with a disability.
Good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that really is the critical part. Is that as a community we can use sport. And we hear this from current sports minister. Probably the last dozen, or like sport has to play a role in the community. It does play a role in the community. Hopefully, we're taking that. Maybe a sort of a leadership, or we're taking that first step. And as I said, the government's been supportive of what we're doing. I mean, I've spoken with the minister about this, and the sports minister, and he's obviously pleased to see that it's going. But we need to, keep rolling these things out. And like Cal mentioned, that we are looking, we will down the road be looking for support to make sure that people who don't have access get access. And this is again, Keith has looked in this area, but we need to make sure that people can get from their home in Southampton to the location, have this hopefully challenging but enjoyable sporting activity.
Sure. Cool.
See where we can go with it.
So definitely have to remind everyone, Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. at the National Sports Center. The Northfield, that is where the Rugby Classic is held, or the Kappa Classic. For those who do not frequent that venue as often as possible, feel free to come and watch, to participate. I would suggest bring some water and some light clothing, and maybe a change of clothing, because your shirt's going to get hot and sweaty. And we're looking to just give another opportunity to the wider participants of Bermuda, especially persons living with a disability who are looking for
And we need to learn as well. I mean, it'll be a process we'll go through. From one standpoint, we have to learn how to assemble this equipment, which is assembled in a different way than a bicycle is. So I
Oh,
can do
sure.
a bicycle, but this is like, it was a real brain teaser. But we'll do that, and I think that if people come in and we'll try
Bring the
to
paperwork. That shows you how to assemble it. See? So make sure I throw that away first.
you know, I've tested the 3 of them myself. I've sat in them; they have not cracked. There is a weight limit on them. In theory, the manufacturer says 250 pounds. So I'm gonna have to keep off the pasta. But we have yeah, but we have to make sure that we try to put something together that is enjoyable and that the participants define what the activity level should look like. Whether we have regular things there or create opportunities to go further afield on the roads and such. We'll work on it. But we're hoping. And there's a young guy I haven't spoken to Cal about, but a young guy at Barclay who has some. I don't know the medical details of it, but it's more like a tendon shortening issue. So it's like, and I had spotted him at an event where he was volunteering last week, or 2 weeks ago. So I've reached out through the school to his family, and will probably show up as well. So there are people who, as Cal said, there's some people who are, paralyzed from the waist down. This is where the traditional athlete for this sport comes. But there's a guy who's works at PwC here as an accountant. He's from overseas, but he's an amputee, so he has a above the knee prosthesis, and so he's interested in getting involved in something because he's done other counseling stuff locally in that area, volunteer in that realm. So we're going to try to find a community, then see what they do, and
take it from there.
Take it from there, and hopefully it's strongly received.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. We wish you all the best. You're more than welcome to come back and bring in some of the new participants who's going to take on this new sport. It's a new challenge. It's a good way for Bermuda to give something back. You guys always give something back to the community. So credit to both of you. I'd like to learn more about it, and hopefully we see this event prosper in Bermuda.
Yeah. Well, thanks for you. I appreciate
Not a problem.
everybody putting the time in, and it's a collaborative effort. And again, one of the highlights is getting a chance to work with Cal, who's
that's scary working with
really,
Cal.
I was just going to say, one of the highlights for me is that Peter and I had never met, never spoken, but of course you know who Mr. Dunn is through cycling in Small Island, and then just because the interest in sports and people in general, we've communicated so much, and it's been a pleasure, and also nice for me to learn other activities and other opportunities out there as well through sports, and networking with other Bermudians.
There you go.
As small as we are, we don't network with each other that often. So it's great.
Cal introduced me to a young guy who did some work for us this year, and it's a new relationship. And we're both learning from each other. A little love fest going on, but it's been really good. So I think it's a great effort, and I think.
And as we wrap up, I have to say, if anyone can get me away from the World Cup. To
Peter
do some hand cycling, which I've now participated in. I really believe in the sport, and
there you go.
We're going to make it happen. So Peter, job done.
Okay, well, let's get to this afternoon games.
All right, it comes on 2:45. We'll take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll speak to Mr. Dave Wolf.
Thank you, guys.
Sports Talk Radio.
Let me give you his number.
Presented to you by University
What's the session? 261 0411.
It's been a cricket team through that disaster.
You want me to hit you up after the show to discuss this? Yeah. All right, yeah.
I spent more time.
I may
call somebody else, but I want to have a different fight.
Right, let me do
everything.
Because then people
doing everything.
let me call you right after. Like some stuff.
If you don't call me, just send me a WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, either or. Peace.
Okay.
Good
Nice
talk.
to see you, gentlemen. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, Cal.
Okay.
Pete,
Bye,
it would
buddy.
be nice to have a couple of those participants come on the show. We can work on that.
Want to see how it goes?
Yeah, that's how it goes
We'll
for
be in
us.
touch.
Okay, mate.
This one is like the media game.
All right, mate.
Sports betting needs without the road test. Introducing Game Time East and Game Time West, located next to Wahoos in St. George's and Main Road, Somerset by Somerset Cricket.
I didn't realize. I mean, I remember when he was at Windreach for a while.
Hey, Dave. Standing by for Outside Sports. Thanks.
Kim said, can we call her now? So I was like, yeah. Kim Kelly.
Is a smart health insurance plan that doesn't.
What she did? She came up or?
No, she's saying, can I call her? Yeah, can you call her? Yeah, sure.
7 out of 10 claims are now received electronically.
Not right now, not call her right now.
Claims are settled automatically.
Cool. So that guy set a world record.
Yeah. He's the oldest player ever in the World Cup.
Who's that?
The Egyptian goalkeeper, yeah. Because he didn't play in the first game, remember?
Hey, she wants to do a TV interview. Remind me to speak to you. Terry Thompson. Just the PR member for Bermuda Bodybuilding Association. Right, I'll tell you, just remind me to give it to you. I just keep forgetting. She hit me on the weekend. I said, yeah, I did that, but did it.
It's not up here.
Got his intro, right?
Yeah. Already.
Inspiring 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Beeston. This segment of Health and Fitness is presented to you by Fit for Life with Dave Wolf.
And good afternoon, and welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. It's that segment now with our health and fitness man, Mr. Dave Wolf. Good afternoon, Dave. How are you, sir? All is well? Well, I'm just going to spill the beans here. I'm going to say it because you're my boy and you can take it, right? And all the training that I've done with Dave Wolf, today was the first time I've seen Dave exhausted. And first time in my life, right? I'm like, Dave's really exhausted? He says, guys, I'm tired. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen it. But you know, in all reality, he didn't look tired.
It's what he done to prepare for today. That's what I put it down to, Dave. That's what I put it down to.
What's that? I'm sorry.
What he done to prepare for today. So he had an extra long session yesterday.
Oh.
That he normally won't do.
Yeah.
I might not show it. And my wife always teases me. I have this, I guess you can say, is this ego side, this facade. I would rather die first. I literally would rather die first to show a level of weakness. So don't get it twisted. There are days when I just don't feel the best, and I don't have it in me. But I'd rather not show it. So I do have them. I just don't like to show them too often. That's probably just something that I need to work on. That's something I need to kind of like, just let it show, and earn it, man. But I was tired this morning. I was definitely tired.
I'm gonna give him credit. He didn't look tired, right? He was still going through the motions. I was feeling it, right? And before we go into the question and the answer, we're going to talk about the Bermuda bodybuilding show that's happening next month. A perfect example is this, Earl. I went to a birthday gathering last evening, a family member, and it was good. I had great meals on Saturday. Watch what I ate. Did that Sunday. So I decided, Dave, to have a little gingerbread, right? All right, gingerbread. My mom made it, right? So, after your class, coming to your class, I run to your class. I'm not going to lie. Within 30 seconds, I felt it.
Yeah?
Yeah. And then all through Dave's class, I just played it off, but I felt it. And then we were supposed to run 3 miles afterwards, right? Well, I ended up doing sprints instead because I couldn't run the 3 miles.
Right.
Dave, is that much of a fact that a gingerbread can turn on someone when you're training and you haven't eaten it, say, for 4 or 5 months? No. I'm gonna blame her. No. That's not a setup. It's being honest. I experienced it there. I was like, wow.
You should be mad at him for not bringing you a piece in the first place, Mr. Wolf. Exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
Glad you mentioned that because it's a nice segue into nutrition, and I think people always focus on nutrition as probably having an aesthetic value. So therefore, if I eat certain food, I'm going to lose weight. I might get some big muscles. People look at proteins being a main source, but you're absolutely right. The food you eat has a way of fueling your body, providing necessary nutrients, and also make it feel a certain way. So if you tend to eat a lot more carbohydrates, a lot more sugary foods, you're going to feel a bit more lethargic, less energetic, and more likely not have that level of, you know what I mean? So I think it kind of, not saying that we all don't like them, but I notice for me, when I eat a certain type of food, or when I indulge in certain things, then the feeling of my body, it changes. And therefore, I recognize that, therefore I try to limit that. But you're absolutely right, eating certain things, I'm not going to put it all on mom's gingerbread, but, eating certain foods can alter that.
It's so true, and you're right. It's the amount of carbs you take in, and then the protein, obviously, to take you to the next level. So you're absolutely right. I knew better. I'm not gonna lie. I knew better, but I took advantage of it because it was hot Sunday afternoon, with your family. So yeah, I'd take it.
Choose your mama's gingerbread. I don't think anybody can do that.
Not if you value your life.
Fair enough. That's a good point, Dave. But going forward, Dave, the event, the big annual bodybuilding show, it's that time of the year. God, it's almost a year already. Well, it's brought forward this year to July 7th. Explain to our listeners, what can we anticipate? I think it's next weekend, not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Correct. So next week, Saturday night, July 7, 2018, the Bermuda Bodybuilding Fitness Federation will be having its annual Night of Champions. It is moved forward to coincide with the CAC event taking place in Mexico City later on that month. So we've adjusted our date to coincide for their changes. It will be held at the Fairmont Southampton Princess in the Ponciana Room. And what we can expect is a nice show. We actually moved locations last year from, those who remember, the annual show was usually held at Ruth St. James, and through some logistics stuff last year, we had to change it to South P, and by all accounts, it was a nice all-around show. Obviously, Southampton Princess is a nice hotel. It kind of adds a different sort of feel to the event. And then the committee is a new committee, so we did some things differently in terms of format and just in terms of structure. And hopefully the athletes this year, I think we've got some 30-plus athletes signed up, ranging from men's fitness, bikini, I think there's a few bodybuilders in there, a few men's fitness athletes, a few figures. So it promises to be a good show. Tickets are on sale now at all the gym outlets. I'll just make mention of Positive Results, Studio One, Magnum Power Force Gym, the Ultimate Fitness Club, the Athletic Club, Sports R Us. I have some tickets at my gym, Fit for Life. Tickets are $65 for the main show, which is a 7 p.m. start on the Saturday night. And of course, we have a pre-judging show, which is the Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I'm sorry, at 10 a.m. doors open at 9 a.m. and those tickets are $25. So I would encourage all of Bermuda to come out, support the athletes. They are athletes. I am a former competitor. There's been some debate about if bodybuilding and bikini is a athletic sport, and maybe Mr. Jones can chime in. I believe it is an athletic sport. It takes a level of discipline, a level of commitment, and it's not for the faint of heart. Trust and believe that.
Well, I can tell you something. For all the years I've been involved, Dave, one of the hardest arguments I've ever had in my life was against Adrian Robson, as far as his perceived knowledge, view as far as it was concerned. It's absolute rubbish. Bodybuilding, fitness, whichever one you want to take, now that there's 4 or 5 different levels, is a sport without any question of a doubt. The discipline involved is probably one of the highest. I mean, there's things in the sporting world that a lot of people don't understand. And if I was to ask you what is the largest Met output in any sport in the world, I don't know if many people in the world would realize that ice hockey is the hardest sport in the world as far as actually output is concerned, because the amount of energy that is required in order to ice skate backwards. It's not the forward motion, it's the backward motion that create. There's things that so I had this for years and years. I had massive arguments about Adrian Robson. Unfortunately, he was the sports editor of the Royal printed press, and we never got much exposure out of it. It's kind of one of those things, Davis. I've said to Mr. Rollins and Mr. Earl Basden here many times. If ever I could give a piece of advice to any sporting body in this country, your president's important, yes. Your vice president's important, yes. Your financial controller is important, yes. But the most important person you elect to your board is your PRO. Your press officer is #1. And the reason is because unless your sport is in the limelight, whether it be coming up here and giving information to Mr. Basden and his sports and Island Stats and all this, and to the BBC for their sports department and the printed media and what have you. Unless you're in the limelight, you don't get exposure, you don't get a following, you don't get a background. Now, the person that you can give the most credit to I've ever seen since he arrived on this island as a policeman was somebody who Peter Dunn, as head of the Bermuda Bicycle Association, just left, was Greg Hopkins. Greg Hopkins changed the perception of cycling in this country single-handedly, not because he was president, not because he was only as well a good rider, but because he printed in the press every week. He wrote some kind of report, and they knew it was going to come. They knew it was going to be well written, and it was easy for them. They didn't have to do any work. So my suggestion to the bodybuilding fraternity and to the new committee is make sure that that press officer is somebody that understands the job involved, understands how to get in contact with the relevant and the most important people that expose their sport to the rest of the community, and from there your sport will grow bigger and better in the future. I mean, it can only go. But as far as that's concerned, your original question was, is it a sport? Not only is it a sport, Mr. Wolf, it is one of the most demanding sports in the world.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely correct. And I've heard this debate, and the other thing I think from that is why particularly this sport is unique in itself is I like the fact that an individual, people don't always know why people are getting up on stage, why they choose to showcase themselves. There are a lot of stories behind the individuals that I find very interesting and very complex, whether it be a mature athlete who is looking to do something that they've never done before, someone who had a particular condition. You never know a person's story. People who are very introvert and shy and decide to break through their barrier and get up on stage. So the stories behind the story I think are interesting, and I think that's why the sport in particular is very demanding and it's not for the faint of heart. So those absolutely what you said. It's very challenging. I have respect for anyone who chooses to do it.
That's the exact reason. That's exactly reason. So not only does that story about who won Mr. Bermuda or Miss Bermuda or Miss Fitness Bermuda or Miss Bikini Bermuda or Miss whatever the title is, there are some underlying stories in there, and those stories enhance your sport, and those are the stories that need to come out there as well, you know. So that's why, yet again, I go back to the fact of this this press officer being so important to you, because inside your 30 competitors, there will be the introvert, there will be the person that had no self-confidence, there will be the person that was, listen, when I don't want to promote myself, but when I first did Mr. Bermuda and won it in 19, I'm not going that far back for you to get it now, but I had just finished playing American football. I was 250-pound fullback nose guard, and somebody challenged me and said, and that was on Super Bowl Sunday, 1983, and on July the 27th, 1983, I was 162 pounds and won the competition. It had nothing to do with anything other than somebody pressed the wrong button. So there's a story though. It's not the normal story, but there's a story. And this story back, there will be people in there that were overweight. They didn't know how to deal with themselves. They didn't understand about diet. They were sitting on a couch. And there's always another great story, more so in that sport than there is in a lot of other sports. So I wish you the best of luck that way, because I'm going to shut up and let these guys do their job.
That's all right. That's all right.
But I wish you guys the best of luck, and I might have to fork out 25 and come and see some pre-judging.
Well, you just fork out you can do 100. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. With the event on July 7th, Dave, competitors, what stage you're at right now? Because this is where it gets a little antsy. People get a little edgy. You know, I gotta do this, tweak this, tweak that. I've seen a couple of your trainers come in, and I've seen their attitudes change in the last 2 weeks, and it's that time.
The final day this is where it gets really, really tough for most competitors, because we're getting onto the end. Usually there is some manipulation going on, some reductions going on in calories, your intake, certainly your cardio, your output's very high, your energy is extremely low. So this is a real battle, you know, depending on where a person is. Everybody's different. My mindset has always been, the competition was on July 7th. I want to get ready 2 weeks before. And the theory behind that being, the closer you are to the finish line, the less stress an individual will have. So depending on where you're at, if you're still trying to lose weight, that's going to create a bit more stress. Your body sometimes will sense that stress and fight you. So for me, I'm always been a preacher of, you know, getting ready as early as possible, getting in good nick so that you can reduce the stress. But certainly towards the end, no matter how you slice it, a person's going through some anxiety. I think this year we have a lot of first-time people, so no matter how much you practice and how you feel, you're getting on stage in a bikini, for the first time in front of hundreds of people. You're going to get pictures taken on all different angles. So a lot of anxiety, a little bit of stress, and certainly very low energy. So a lot of encouragement and from family, loved ones, friends, work colleagues. And to that point, I think that's why this is so kind of cool, because people get to see your journey. So your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, they get to see what you're going through. Certainly your work colleagues, they see you in the kitchen warming up your salmon and your broccoli and your greens. So a lot of people go on this journey with you. So that's why I also like the sport. So I think people right now will be looking forward to July 8th, to be honest.
What about the coaching, Dave? Obviously, when you have multiple athletes whose temperaments are different, how much stress is it for the coach to prepare a different set of people or a different person for this particular event?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know there are some coaches who have multiple people, male and female. So it's definitely a challenge, because depending on a person's food intake, there's some real moods, there's some real anxiety, some frustration. So a lot of I always look at people as individuals. So you have to look at people and try to treat everyone differently. So someone's training program is catered towards their body type. Maybe their food intake is catered towards them, meaning one person might respond better to more carbohydrates and the other person responds better to less carbohydrates. So, but there's also a lot of manipulation going on in conversation, maybe softer tone. Sometimes females have a lot going on emotionally, so you might have to be careful what words you use and what triggers you use. So definitely that in itself is a skill. Luckily for me, I only have 2 people who are competing, so I'm only doing that with 2 different individuals. But someone who's coaching 3 or 4 or 5 people, it is very challenging, very difficult. But I think after a couple of years of doing it, people develop a certain level of, shall we say, skill in terms of how you deal with people's emotions and how you manage it.
Dave, one thing I must say that the mandate, when you guys came on board last year, you stressed that you want to get new competitors on board. The numbers are up. I think this year you got 30 competitors, but a number of new competitors. That's a sign that the committee and the organization is working hard behind the scenes to make the sport grow. Can you see it even growing more in the future?
Definitely. I think it can. I think to Nick's point, I think some real, information could be disseminated differently. I think also we really only have 2 signature events. We have the April Novice Show and we have the August Show. I think if we had a couple other events taking place throughout the year, not necessarily bodybuilding shows, but other things to promote and highlight the important work that's being done. And also I think one of the things that is important to me, which I think the committee also feels strongly in, is developing the sport. You need to bring in some youth. It's fine to get, the experts that come on the island and get the more seasoned veterans, but we need to be looking at a way of really getting youth. So looking at that track athlete who's already genetically blessed, already, a freak of nature in terms of his athletic ability, got good stature, good ability, already training for the national squad or for his individual club squad, and trying to get them to get up on stage and just do some youth development. I think that's a great place to develop the sport. And if you start on the youth-based programs, I think that'll ensure a more long-lasting sort of sustainable program.
I think on Nick's point, I think what needs to be exposed more is the amount of competition that goes on, not only in Bermuda but out of Bermuda, because you have a handful of athletes competing year-round in different competitions, but very little information of that is disseminated. I think if people knew the opportunities that were out there, they may want to get involved in those opportunities that present themselves on a regular basis.
It's funny that, Earl, that you say that, because I can tell you, I'm going to give you 2 examples. Bodybuilding is one. So there's a lot of people that go away here and compete. Now, I've been in that vault, but I can tell you now, even when I read or hear where they've been and what they've done, it means absolutely nothing to me. The other sport in this island that is really bad at it is equestrian. I've been to the FEI, Class 3, Singer, The average Joe Blow doesn't understand what that standard is in the world or what it means. And that's where I'm trying to tell everybody out here, to those that listen, that's what that that's what your job is. Your job is to lay everything out in black and white and in simple man's terms so people. I mean, if somebody goes to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, there might be a 2 column inches in the paper, but inside that studio, a lot of people that read it don't understand what level that is. You know, they've just gone to a competition overseas. It doesn't mean anything. Same as, like I said, equestrian is the one that really hurts me the worst, because somebody went to a dressage competition and did class 4. It means nothing to me. And without being honest, if Nick Jones doesn't understand it with the amount of sports I follow, how's the average person going to know? They're not going to know in any shape or form. So that again, Wolfie, there's another prime example of it there, as far as what Earl was leading into.
Good point.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add, Dave, before we wrap up?
Yeah, don't wait. Have a go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, because it is a magnificent sport, and it can also be the basis to many other things in life.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day, Dave, and I'll see you on Wednesday morning, and good luck for July 7th going forth, or the competitor. I have no more, trust me, bro. But I'll bring in a piece for you on Wednesday, since you said that. All right, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we have Kim McKellen on the phone. We'll be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Let me give you her number. You can call right now. It's 707 5330.
Gosh. He's one thing about Wolfie, he speaks very well.
He does. He does.
It's so easy.
Yes, it's funny.
But yeah, hey Earl, that's the one sport drives me around the fucking loophole, man.
Which one is it?
A question with the information.
Hi again. Inside Sports. How are you? I'm fine, thanks.
Tell we're going to have one stand by.
Okay. This is the level. This is what we're trying to do. This is how we're going to get.
Stand by.
Cool.
So all it is numbers. Yeah. Numbers and words.
Name Somerset by Somerset Cricket Club. All game time outlets open Monday to Friday 12 to 6, Saturdays 8:30 till 5, and Sundays 10 till 5. For more details, visit GameTime.pm or call 296-3222. Game Time. You play, we pay. Game Time is a socially responsible gaming establishment.
Premier Health is a smart health insurance plan that does most of the thinking for you.
With online verification, eligibility, and direct billing.
7 out of 10 claims are now received electronically.
6 out of 10 claims are settled automatically.
Leaving you more time to focus on the choice of care you deserve.
Premier Health. Smart health insurance feels good.
Call Colonial on 296-3200
or visit cgigroup.com.
Football fans, if you were unable to see the live action of the 2018 FIFA World Cup from Russia, Bermuda Broadcasting Company would like to take this opportunity to inform our valued viewers. We will rebroadcast all 64 matches of the 2018 FIFA World Cup from Russia on ZFB TV7 nightly. The rebroadcast will start at 8 p.m. and end in the early hours of the next morning. This will coincide with the FIFA daily schedule. Now, back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio with Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Bayston.
Radio, as we mentioned, at commercial break, we have Kim McKellen, the former Commodore of the Bermuda Barboat Association, on the line with us. She's got some good news. She's Bermuda's first female to be traveling overseas to officiate round 2 of the World Offshore Championships in
in England.
contacted me last year on a different matter, and we went from that matter on to this, and he said, would you like to be officer of the day, be in charge of the race, crack the whip, and I accepted.
Wow.
So I applied tonight to go and do this.
So, with that said, you're going up representing Bermuda, yes, in Little Bermuda, and you're going to be an official with international drivers, international competition. What sort of advice has been taught to you? What sort of information they've passed on, like responsibilities and things of that sort?
Well, basically, my position, OOD, which is Officer of the Day, I have a team. We work together. We set the agenda. We set out the race courses, and basically you got to know the rules for overseas racing as well. So I had a lot of studying to do and looking at maps, and these guys out there know the courses better than me. So it was questions being asked, and a couple of 1,000 miles distance, so we did it. So now it just comes the fun part of being in charge again.
So where is this going to be held overseas exactly, and how many boats are participating? And is this over a 2-3 day event, international event?
It's for this race weekend, which is June 28th to July 1st, and it's in Falmouth, Cornwall, right there on the coast, southern England. So the amount of boats, I know the last race that they had, which we had some local drivers and navigators in that race, they had about 37, and I think we're probably around about the same amount of boats as well for this one.
You're not nervous to take on this type of responsibility, meaning that you've done it here in Bermuda, it's a little different, but you're taking on 36 international boats. You're going to be on another horizon, meaning England. No nerves, butterflies, anything of that sort?
Yeah, they kicked in already.
Fair enough. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm nervous because if I start thinking about it in detail, I have racers from all over. It's not just having to deal with Bermudian racers. Maybe we have one in it, I'm not sure. But I'm dealing with racers from, UK and other parts of Europe as well. So the nerves have definitely kicked in. I feel like, the racing world is watching me more now than here. So, yeah.
Kim, on that, congratulations, because as Nick Jones said, what a wonderful opportunity for you. I mean, it just shows you that yet again that sports is the universal uniter to everything. Here you are in tiny little BDA, past corridor of the Bermuda Powerboat Association, and just by chance on a phone call, and obviously the way that you addressed the person, or you spoke to the person, or the conversation was enough for them to light up to see that you were capable of doing the job that you're about to do this weekend. So what a wonderful opportunity for you. Congratulations, and I'm sure you're gonna see a lot more drivers than just from, like you said, the United Kingdom. You're gonna get some from Spain. If I read my things right, I think you might even find somebody as far as Morocco and places like that. There's some big time international drivers, but what a wonderful opportunity, and I'm sure you'll represent Bermuda with great pride, and with a bit of luck this will open the door for you to go on to bigger and better things in the future as well.
Yes, thank you.
And so where do you go from here? once this is done, is this the possibility, Kim, to bring some international drivers or international competition to Bermuda in the future?
Anything is possible. The interest is definitely there. I can say that for sure.
What does it mean for the local chapter, for you to represent Bermuda as the former Commodore of last year? What sort of information are you going to bring back and share with your comrades?
Whatever I can learn out there from, world-class drivers, throttle people, navigators, and even the officials that I'm working with. It's all about sharing and networking and
taking your experiences, bringing it back, and sharing those experiences, and you know, it's really up to the other person that you're sharing those experiences with to implement them and put them into place.
No.
That's all I can do.
Fair enough. And it's been talked for a number of years now, for the last, let's say, 3 to 4 years, that Bermuda wanted to, or Bermuda's the place or hub to host a offshore racing in Bermuda. It's no secret, we had the America's Cup last year, and just this year we had the ITU. People are now saying, hey, we need to bring more international sporting events to Bermuda. What's the possibility, yes, I know it's an expensive sport, of bringing offshore powerboating to Bermuda to race our shores in Bermuda?
Anything is possible, but there's in order for something like this to happen, and I'm sure Nick can agree to this, there's a lot of things that have to be done before you can say, oh, you know, we're going to make it happen. And you have to deal with government, and that's one of the hardest steps or hills that you have to climb in order to make things like this happen. Can it be done? Yes, I'm sure it can.
Yeah,
Will it be done? Probably sometime in the future, yes.
It's one of those things where you have to start smaller and grow bigger in the future. And of course, with that being said, I know that there was power boating where you're going at the moment in Falmouth, England. There was also power boating further down the south coast towards the east in England just a week and a half ago. So in order for it to happen in Bermuda, in order for the expense, you'd have to have the government, the sporting body. The sporting body has to make the presentation. Government have to become would have to become, the community have to become involved, and it's also a very difficult thing here. The one, just thinking outside the box really quickly here, as somebody who follows sports, to do it on a one weekend basis would be very difficult. You would have to try and make it the Bermuda Cup or something like that, where it went over 2 weekends, so there was three races on one weekend and 3 races on the next weekend, so it became more of a series, so it became more viable for people and sponsors and so on and so forth, and television crews and so on and so forth, to be able to spread their costs over a bigger production, to make it, the cost might be bigger in the initial phase, but spread over the scenario where it would allow and would tease people to become more involved with radio and TV, not just locally, internationally. So if I'm a TV production, if I'm working for the BBC or some BN Sport or whatever it is in France or whatever, and I follow powerboat racing, and I was in Eastbourne 2 weeks ago, it's very easy for me to pick up my truck and go down to Falmouth, which is about a 4-hour car drive. Well, it's coming to this side of the world. Bermuda's problem is, are we a stepping stone in order to go to a races down in Florida or somewhere like that, or should we be looking at trying to produce our own mini series?
Well, if we got our own weekend, it would work. If you can do it over a 5-year period, where you just use the one weekend, if it's a pit stop before going down to Florida, just like the triathlon is done, one day, but it's for 3 years.
Yeah.
Our thing is, can we keep it?
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Well, we wish you all the best going forward, Kim. And again, that's happening this weekend. I think you said it'd be good to share your information with us and give us up to date on what the experience was like for you overseas.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a safe trip. And we'll be in touch with you. We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back. We'll wrap up regarding World Cup and other sporting issues that need to be discussed.
Has been presented to you by Lindo's Group of
Companies.
Game Time and Fit for Life with Dave Wolf. We'll return after the break.
That's what I wrote down, because I was going to say the update and saying about people being introverted. Georgia Papa, the first time she went in, I brought her in here for Sports Voice. I'm very pleased to have sitting on saying, Georgia Papa, she's now Miss Bermuda. Georgia, congratulations.
We're featuring Alkaline 88, an environmentally
So
friendly
obviously your diet and things play a lot in your training a long time, didn't it?
What time is it?
Yes.
It's game time. More opportunities to win.
Fucking kidding. I just wrote that down
Right.
Game time
today,
tips
and then this girl
Game
did
Time West.
exactly the
Located
same.
next
But
to
I'm
Walgreens, St.
surprised she's
George's,
lost
and main road,
because
Somerset by Somerset
she
Cricket
always.
Club. All game time outlets open Monday to Friday 12 to 6, Saturdays 8:30 till 5, and Sundays 10 till 5. For more details,
She's
visit
always on
GameTime.pm
thing. I
or
couldn't
call
believe I
963
just read it.
Game Time. You
And
play,
then this
you
comes.
pay.
Yeah.
Game Time is a
She's always on
socially
point. I don't know what.
responsible gaming establishment.
Maybe she is
Premier
nervous.
Health
I've
is a
never known her
smart
to be
health
nervous.
insurance plan that does most of the thinking
Really?
for you.
With
What
online
does she do? She
verification, eligibility,
treats.
and direct
Oh, she was.
There's one thing you do when you're talking to her or you do an interview with a camera and there's other people around and the activities going on. But she's by herself sitting there with a radio
Premier Health.
behind her.
Yeah.
She's hearing herself.
Yeah.
Call Colonial on 296-3200
Or visit CGIgroup.com.
Football fans, if you were unable to see the live action of the 2018 FIFA World Cup from Russia, Bermuda Broadcasting Company would like to take this opportunity to inform our valued viewers. We will rebroadcast all 64 matches of the 2018 FIFA World Cup from Russia on ZFP TV7 nightly. The rebroadcast will start at 8 p.m. and end in the early hours of the next morning. This will coincide with the FIFA daily schedule.
That's amazing. Back.
Now, back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Bayston.
Well, I just wanted to thank our guest that joined us today on Inside Sports Talk Radio. Bermuda Cricket Board President, Mr. Lloyd Smith, Calvin Blankendale, and Mr. Peter Dunn, Bermuda Bicycle Association, and Cal, in conjunction with him, working on the special hand cycling. This is going to unfold on Wednesday, 10 a.m. at the National Sports Center, Northern Field, if I'm correct?
Correct.
Yes.
10 a.m. So it's going to be something interesting to share, and hopefully they will see it in the Bermuda Day Racing in 2019. Obviously coming out of St. George's next year. I want to thank them, and obviously Kim McCallum, who's going to be off flying this afternoon to represent Bermuda as an offshore official for Bermuda on the international scene in London. Also Dave Wolf with his health segment and the upcoming Bermuda Bodybuilding Federation's annual show, which is going to be July 7th at the Fairmont Southampton Princess. So come get your tickets at various gym outlets, $65 and up to $100. I think Nick Jones said he's going to compete this year, so watch out, he'll be there as well.
A bit too late for that challenge, isn't it?
I was going to say.
Come on, oversized. You
gotta give him some time.
Give him some time. Give him some time. Yeah. All right, I know. He's a good man.
I'm a wider load than some of those things. Island construction move around.
Guys, man. Just real recap, Nick. Some games that were played earlier today. Just give us a score.
Yeah, Uruguay 3-0 over Russia. The cream starting to rise to the crop. A draw between Saudi Arabia and Egypt, but
no,
2-1. Sorry, they scored in the end.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia won that one. But that's the reason I got ahead of myself, is the Egyptian goalkeeper today, Assam El Haddadi, at 45 years of age. Not only did he save a penalty, but more importantly for him, became the oldest player ever to grace a World Cup field during a competition. So
45 years old?
45, saved a penalty, a big day for him, although they were on the wrong side of everything that happened today. Congratulations to him. He could possibly be in the record books. Well, actually, the last person was back in 2014, so it was in the last World Cup. So. But 45 is a big thing to hang on to.
I would say so.
Goalkeeper. So congratulations to him today. And my last departing before you guys sign yourself off was thanks for the invitation. And ladies and gentlemen, 3 o'clock kickoff: Spain versus Morocco, Iran versus Portugal. Let the fireworks begin.
Did you know that Iran had a party last night outside of the Portugal hotel? So Cristiano Ronaldo won't go to sleep?
Whatever it, I'm not going to verify it or what have you, but sports is sports, international sports is international sports, and what are you going to do to get the job done? Just a quick one, like I was involved in a little baseball semi-final down at Kinley Field last Saturday, and it was 0-0 after 3 innings, and I said to the kids, I put them in a little group, I said, this is the perfect opportunity to tell you one thing you should remember for life. The first team that blinks this afternoon will lose. And that's the way it goes. The first team that blinks lost. So whatever it takes to make somebody blink, hey, let it go. As long as it's within the rules, you know. As long as it's within, and nobody told them they couldn't be out on the street.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
But anyway, I expect lots of fireworks. Whoever wants to be, because I wouldn't want to be finishing second and facing Uruguay as they're starting to get themselves together. So I think there will be a lot of action this afternoon.
Well, you want to just finish in the top two, because the Portugal-Iran game is the most important game.
Exactly.
Because Spain are in the best position.
Yeah.
Either way, they'll go through, no matter what that result is. And the longer it stays 0-0, the worse it's going to be for a lot of people.
Sure, that's for sure. Again, that Spain and Morocco game this afternoon gets underway quarter to 3 on ZBM TV 9. And the Iran-Portugal game, my lawn did getting cut this weekend, so my people have already started partying, right? That game gets underway at quarter to 3 this afternoon on ZFP TV 7. And those who are unable to view it via television or internet, you can tune in on Inspire 105. And within the next half hour, we'll bring it to you on radio. That's the Iran-Portugal game brought to you on Radio 105 FM, the Kelly Zulu station. Any final comments, John?
Yeah. You said your grass didn't get cut this weekend.
No.
You better hope the results good, because it might be so you better hope.
Yeah, you're right.
It might not get cut. It might get burnt.
Yeah, and if it is favorable, that means chances of grass not gonna get cut again.
Sure it would.
It would?
Yeah, they want to be right outside your door, man. Doing exactly what Iran did to them. They want you to know, anyway. Anyway, guys, listen, on my behalf, thanks very much for the invitation, for coming in again, giving my little 2 cents worth, and to my good man over here, Mr. Ladd, thanks very much for your hosting as usual.
Pleasure as always.
Cool. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.